The Lance Wallnau Show is coming at you live from the Master himself, with a special broadcast taken from one of Lance's most recent appearances. Tune in and get ready for some major revelation.
So, Haggai 2:22, but I want you to see this because this is the shaking of the nations. But I do think, I just want to share with you how I want to do this, stir up this intercession like this some more, because I think if we do this thing right, and you have like a prophetic teaching, apostolic thing, and boom, turn it over to the people that know how to spike the ball. We just, and then bam, just keep scoring points. So here's the thing, Haggai 2:22. The word of the Lord came a second time, only 2 chapters. Guy's 80 years old, by the way. This old prophet Haggai, he prophesies, I'm going to shake the heavens and the earth. This is what's going on. Everybody that's got a word from God since COVID till now has said, God's shaking the heavens, shaking the nations. Everybody's quoting this, but it's only 2 chapters, an 80-year-old prophet. That'll encourage some of you that are older and think you're done. God will use you like Haggai to prophesy one of the most powerful words that you have in your generation. I'm going to shake, he says. Speak to Zerubbabel. Speak to who? We got to get this right. Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel is a secular anointed leader. This is a Jew called as a governor. You got a prophet prophesying to the Christian who's called to government or called to the mountains, called to business. He says, hey, I'm going to shake the heavens and the earth. I will overthrow the thrones of kingdoms and destroy the power of the kingdoms of nations. I will overthrow the chariots and the riders. Now just take a look at this. Notice what Cindy drew. I want to encourage Cindy to continue her artwork here. I think this is a great idea. Let's everybody encourage Cindy with this. We need a whiteboard movement. Yeah. So, no, this is good. This is old school. If the power goes out, you can still illustrate. So here's what she said. Notice, I'm going to shake the heavens. Let's catch this. What's the prophet saying? He's going to shake principalities and powers. I'm going to shake the heavens and the earth. That means it's going to be the spirit realm is going to get shook up over the earth. And to make sure we understand this, verse 7 says, I'm going to shake all the nations. So when it talks about earth, it's talking about national structures, nations. So the Lord is saying, I'm going to shake the heaven. Now, what part of heaven is going to get shook? If we're living as participants in a kingdom that cannot be shaken, then our realm should not shake. Then we should not shake, because we're supposed to be seated with him in unshakable heavenly places. But what does get shook, here this goes to what Cindy was talking about, is thrones and dominions. Thrones. Let's talk about this for a second. Thrones in the heavenlies and thrones on the earth. That means thrones are the political systems and structures on the earth that reflect the principalities in the heavenly places. If God is shaking the heavens, that means he's going to shake up the governments of the earth that are militating against his kingdom purposes. And the prophets and the prophetic intercessors desperately need a new eschatology. Because, I talked to a whole group of businessmen this week. And I said, here they are having a wealth conference. I said, let me just address the unspoken issue. What good is it for you to walk out of here with wealth strategies if America is going down the toilet and the Antichrist is taking over? What exactly are you building wealth for? And I said, you're building wealth in order to give Jesus the inheritance of nations, and there will be sheep nations. Not everybody's going to be a goat. And that's the reason why you are doing what you're called to do, because the silver is mine and the gold is mine, and I'm going to fill my latter house with glory. God says I'm going to give resources and glory to the house that I'm building, and that house is connected to God shaking the systems. You guys are looking at me like I'm speaking from a Book of Mormon. This is the Bible. We just don't have, what I'm saying is we don't think this way. It almost sounds like bizarrely optimistic.
You know, I wrote a book and I talked about Haggai, the prophet, talking about God is going to shake all the nations, including economic systems. And then just recently I got challenged by a verse. It says, the silver is mine and the gold is mine. And I began to think, you know what? I'd hate to find out there was a promise and a warning here on silver and gold, and I never even thought about it. And that's the reason why I want you guys to do something right now. You want to get a 20-page special report on silver and gold. Go to lancewallnau.com/Birch, because Birch Gold is one organization that is being used by a lot of very credible people right now in order to position themselves with silver and with gold. You need to now start to look into this and learn what it is that maybe God was trying to say, that the silver is mine and the gold is mine. Go to lancewallnau.com/Birch and find out for yourself.
But I want you to see this. Take a look at this. This is actual good theology. Go to Colossians, because we need to have a Bible verse to help back this up. So go to Colossians chapter 1, and you'll see where the thrones teaching, if God's shaking the heavens and the earth, take a look at it. You guys got Bibles with you? You know, we got to get Bibles. This electronic stuff is no good. Do you know what happens when you got an iPhone in your hand in church? The temptation to go check texts and other things is so overwhelming, it's like pornography. Just get away from it. I like to hear the rustling sound of leaves in the garden of God. All right, Colossians. Look at verse 15. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by him all things were created, both in the heavens. I'm going to shake the heavens. God, he created all things that are in the heavens and on the earth, visible and invisible, thrones and dominions and rulers and authority. Invisible thrones with invisible princes are connected to visible thrones and visible Putins. Or Bidens. Lawless witchcraft, Biden-Harris. That's my theology interpretation anyway. Spiritual realm, natural realm. So if God's going to shake something, he's going to be shaking the devil out of his position. Doesn't that make sense? Now, if the church isn't prepared for the shaking, then it isn't prepared to occupy anything. You know the great thing about God taking down the walls of Jericho? Is that at least then the Hebrews knew what they were doing and where they were going. It's called into the city. Here's us walking around Washington, praying, blowing shofars. Trump comes along. The walls go down and we're standing there for 4 years going, what? What do we do? Are you going to the Rose Garden? I'm going. Okay. He's inviting us to pray? Okay. We had no plan to go in to Washington and do anything. It's like a stupid dog I had in my neighborhood. Every day I'd pull out of my driveway, my neighbor's dog would chase me. We had a little ritual. I'd go driving to church, and the dog would go, and kind of harass me out of the neighborhood. He'd chase me, and I'd take off. He'd try to catch up, and I'd gun my car. Boom, I was out of there. Finally, one day I thought, let me go mess with his little puppy head. I pull out my driveway. He's looking at me. I'm looking at him. I take off. He starts moving. He's biting, yelling at my tires. And I sped up a little bit. He goes, and I slowed down. And I stopped. And he comes running up to the car. And he comes up to the window with this look like, we had a great thing going here for a long time. I'd come out, you take off, I take off. I felt gratified, you felt fulfilled. And he went back just dejected. Because once he caught the car, he didn't know what to do with it. Welcome to the church. God gives us Donald Trump, the walls go down flat, and we go, well, that's unusual. His tweets are a little salty, don't you think? God created thrones, dominions, rulers, and authorities. If he's going to be shaking them, then maybe God has a plan for the church. It would be helpful if the church actually knew God had a plan and was expecting it to happen. One wonders if the Lord actually isn't wondering what the church is thinking right now. Have we actually accomplished the Great Commission? Here's the problem, eschatologically. I think Apostle JB put it so right. We have a bad eschatology. Like I said to the business guys, I said, what is the use of you being so ambitious to go build wealth in the nations if the nations are all going to go to China and the Antichrist? And they all nodded. I said, evidently, God must have another idea. How about this? When the Son of Man returns, Matthew 25, you better, Cindy said it so well. Now, I got to get the land down here. I'm not sure about that. I got the thrones. I got you guys got this? Principalities, powers, and heavens getting shaken. If they get shaken, the world rulers get shaken off the thrones. The question is, what takes the place of a system when the walls go down? My point was, the children of Israel went in. When the walls go down for us, we just circle around. We have no eschatology for changing a culture other than prayer and revival. I don't know what we're going to do in the millennium. We'll be confused. Nothing really to pray for. Have a revival over. All right. So I'm looking at this, and this is a strange way to think, but I'm thinking Zerubbabel gets that word. God's going to shake the heavens and the earth. God says, I'm going to move mountains. Zerubbabel, talking to the Christian in the secular role. Purpose of the ministry is to equip them to go do what they got to do. So anyway, so somebody was preaching today, and I love it when I'm hearing all you guys talking because it's all confirming. I love hearing preachers confirm what I already think, but it helps me know I'm on the right track because sometimes you start to wonder if you're actually hearing God. But then you hear other people quoting the same verses. You go, I am hearing God. Acts chapter 4, people are talking about it. I love this verse. Acts 4, the apostles are, here's the thing. When they had been released, they went to their own companions. Look at verse 23. Persecution. Everybody's talking about persecution coming. Persecution's coming, okay. But it's only because God's shaking things up. Chuck was alluding to it in his PowerPoints, and so you have a kingdom response. The kingdom always stimulates a government response. Well, yes, of course. You guys have all heard this by now, right? That when we passed over the threshold of February 22nd, 2022, Mercedes had said, is there some significance in that date? I said, I don't really think so. I mean, it's an interesting date. I'm sure people are going to all have significance for it. But I got woken up to a call from, where's Ralph? Where's Ralph? Ralph calls me up, wakes me up. Ralph's was best man at my wedding 35 years ago, Rhode Island. And we haven't been together in like 35 years. Anyway, we got together, or 30 years or so. And Ralph wakes me up because I've got a Zoom call, and there's something like 5 or 6 or 7,000 people that I was supposed to be talking to. And I had rolled over at Mario Murillo's tent crusade. I rolled over, I was home tired at the hotel, and I rolled over on top of my phone and muffled my alarm. So I never heard it. So I'm waking up to, man, you got this huge group waiting for you. So I thought, what? So I was yelling at him as irresponsibly. It's your job to set these things up. He goes, I'm just traveling with you. I go, from now on, don't trust me to myself like this. So I go fumbling around, and they're just improvising till I get on. Now, I was supposed to speak, and Chuck was supposed to speak on this thing after me. But Chuck wasn't there either. But I was listening to this guy who's a Nigerian or Kenyan prophet. And I thought, well, that's not Chuck. But let me go hear what the prophets are saying. Because I'm telling everybody there what I'm telling you right now. And I'm not hearing anyone else say it yet. So I'm thinking, let me hear what Chuck has to say. So this other guy goes this. He goes, do you know, and it was like, the date was like 2/22/2022. He goes, do you know that the constellations, when you're born, there's a certain configuration. That's why astrology gives you a sign. But there really is a configuration over individualized. He said, but then there's configurations over national events too. There are signs in the heavens. I'm going, yeah. He says, do you know that the planet Pluto actually makes its orbit around our solar system, and It is now back in the same position it was in 247 years ago over the United States on 2022. Do you know the last time it was in this position after its massive orbit around the universe? In a sense, not a personal birthday, but a national birthday. It was July 4th, 1776. The last planet that was discovered in our solar system actually came back to visit the Earth at the time of the American Revolution. Which really freaks me out when I found out that George Washington's birthday is 2/22/2022. Washington's birthday, July 4th, 1776, with Pluto over it. It's like kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. God wants to birth a resurgence of revolutionary purpose over America. And so here we are having this conference, and I'm telling you that these thrones are being shaken. Now, as far as Putin is concerned, here's the interesting thing about him. Oh, I don't like what he's doing in the Ukraine. I don't like what's happening there. I'm sure that I could be very upset about this from several points of view. However, I'll say this bit of confusing data is that one thing about Putin, he's worked with his Pentecostal pastors and his Greek Orthodox pastors. He has a strong, deep reverence for the Christian faith and feels like woke Europe and the United States are out of their mind. He is not pro-LGBTQ. He is not pro-gay. He thinks transgenderism is madness. And he thinks that America is falling to the manipulation of race manipulation by party affiliation and that it's self-destructing. He's actually of the opinion that Europe and the United States are in precipitous decline because of the loss of moral center that Christianity in the West used to provide them. What do you do when you have a ruler who's a rascal like Putin, who just might be interrupting the Davos globalist agenda by dropping down his gangster presence in Europe and disrupting what they're doing? Now, on the other hand, him and China forming a partnership isn't exactly my idea of a solution. But what I'm saying is, we don't all know the ramifications of an event. And I remember the first time that Donald Trump came on the scene, and I was reading certain prophets who just came after this guy like he was Absalom and some bloviating, blowhard, thrice married heathen. And I kept thinking, it's quite possible that this man is chosen by God. And here the prophets are having this Tourette syndrome attack. So let's say that we really do want to say, thus far and no further. We don't want to see as Chuck was saying, this is coming. Well, it doesn't have to come in your time. Satan wants to reestablish the former Soviet Union. But come on, Jim, you know that Viktor Orban, standing there as a powerful, great leader that he is, he's a Cyrus right there in Hungary. And the president of Poland, those countries that fought for their freedom should not come back under the tyranny of godless atheism or communism. And these guys, by the way, are not communists. Putin isn't a communist. It's a plutocracy. It's the elites, like in America. It's a plutocracy. Learn the word, because they're not socialists. They're elites that want to dominate everybody else. That's what they are.
Thanks for listening to this Lance Wallnau broadcast. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure to subscribe and share the episode. See you tomorrow.
People still ask me all the time, Lance, are you still friends with Mike Lindell? Of course, Mike and I are on a regular first. We just call each other whenever we need each other's encouragement. But, I find that I don't have to call Mike when I'm slipping into these slippers. I have various different styles of Mike slippers. And this one is, of course, the favorite, the gray suede with the snug back on it because it's got the indoor-outdoor sole on it, the 4-ply cushiony interior with the whole fur. The fur is so much like rabbit fur, and then it's got the silk-stitched out exterior. My favorite one for the late night, but during the day I like to slip on. You get in and out of bed real quick. You don't want to have to mess around. You kind of like, if you're like my age, you got up in the middle of the night. Well, this was the one I used for the middle of the night journeys around the house, wandering around, for instance, because this one slips on and slips off so easy. But you know what I love? The bathrobe. It's probably, if you guys, people are telling me now, like, Lance, I've got everything. Well, some of you don't,
because I found out that I ordered medium and I should have got large. So, you know, I've got the large bathrobe now on order because I ordered the medium by accident. But we're going to be doing our late night shows, and I'm going to be asking you guys what your preferred Mike Lindell stuff is. MyPillow.com. Use promotion code Lance. You can get the same stuff I've got for 40, 50, 60% off. MyPillow.com, and use the code Lance. This guy's such a patriot. We all love him, and